Welcome to the Jane Healey Happy Hour, the podcast that explores new and exciting novels of all genres. I'm your host, best-selling historical fiction author Jane Healey, and in today's episode, we welcome author Vanessa Riley to discuss her latest novel, Fire, Sword, and Sea, which has been called a sweeping tale that is pure literary gold. Welcome, Vanessa.
Thank you. Thank you for having me, Jay.
Yeah, so glad we could finally do this. Okay, I'm gonna read your bio and then we'll jump in. Vanessa Riley is an acclaimed author of more than 25 novels, including Island Queen, a Good Morning America Buzz Pick, and Queen of Exiles, an ABC View Lit Pick. She is the recipient of Georgia's 2023 Literary Fiction Author of the Year for Sister Mother Warrior, and the 2024 Mystery Detective Author of the Year for Murder in Drury Lane. Her work has been praised by the Washington Post, Entertainment Weekly, NPR, Publishers Weekly, and the New York Times. She hosts the essay podcast Rite of Passage on Substack and can be found at vanessariley.com. Again, welcome.
Thank you. Thank you once again. This is my pleasure.
Yes, I'm so happy we could finally do it. So, one of the things I was thinking, when we booked this, and I was like, oh my gosh, female pirates in the 1600s. Like, I don't think I've ever. This is like such a unique premise and genre. Like, of all the subgenres in historical fiction, not sure I've ever done female pirates. So talk about the origin. I love talking about origin stories of books, and this one came to you on a tour of Jamaica.
Yes.
Right.
Yes.
So talk about the origins of this novel.
Okay. So I was, the grueling sun of Jamaica. Yeah.
Right.
It was a writing retreat, and some of us had flown in early. And whenever I go anywhere, I want to see the history.
Yeah.
And, we, Birth of a Nation, we're like 250 years old, but there are civilizations hundreds and hundreds of years, and I wanted to see it. So we go to Port Royal. For those who don't know, Port Royal is the Sodom and Gomorrah of the Caribbean. On one single day, it was hit with a tsunami, an earthquake, and fire. So they angered the gods really, really bad. But so half of Port Royal is literally still in the ocean. The half the stave part of Fort Charles is there. So we're going through, and they're allowing us, it's a really unique tour. They're allowing us to crawl over cannons and go into where the bunks, where the soldiers were stationed, actually walked where Lord Nelson was on patrol. And for those who don't know, Lord Nelson is like the father of the British Admiralty. And they're like, would you like to see with the pirates, where we jailed the pirates? And I was like, jail? No, I don't want to see no jail.
Right.
Even letting us crawl over things. The last thing in my mind is like that scene from the Rock where everybody gets locked into prison.
Right, you get stuck.
Yeah. They were like, but the female pirates were there. And I was like, female pirates? Okay, let's go. And the entire mood shifts once you walk into this prison. It's different. And one of the tour guides was like, Mary Reed and Anne Bonny, they were here. And one of them actually died of a fever in that room. And I was, I'm hearing about these pirates, those women pirates, legendary pirates, they're from the 1700s. I was asking, are there any Black women in the Caribbean or any Black women pirates? And we all did the universal sign, picked up our phones and hit go. And Jacquotte Delahaye comes up, and she is a fascinating woman. She is a tavern's daughter. Her mother is African, her father's French. She's waiting on tables in his tavern in Tortuga. Tortuga is a disputed place. It's very close to Haiti, but the French and the Spanish, and even sometimes the British, have been all trying to possess this island. Her father's getting rich because pirates are coming, because pirates are legal in the 1600s. And he's making this money, but he wants her to have a prescribed life. You are a woman. You're not going to be a wench. You're going to be a wife. Those are our two career options there.
Mm-hmm.
And she's been listening to pirates pour out their dreams and hopes, and she wants that. So, not to spoil anything, but she dresses up as a man, joins a pirate ship, and is so good at the job, she rises to be a pirate captain.
Incredible. Like, talk about a stranger than fiction story, right? It's so so ripe for fiction. I want you to talk a little bit more about who she is. Can you pronounce her name again? I want to make sure I get that
Yes.
right.
So is Jacquotte,
Jacquotte
Jacquotte Delahaye.
Delahaye.
Yes.
So you describe her as a woman of cunning and intellect who could fight like a man and sail as well as any man of her time. You discover her and you're like, okay, I have to write this. Talk a little bit about your research into her because you also said that she was one of the hardest people you ever had to research. And
Absolutely. We're very lucky to have Anne Frank's diary, a day-to-day account of what happened to a woman. Typically, women's narratives don't survive if they're written at
Mhm,
all. We have so many other things to do. And so everybody listening, please journal. Make the jobs of everybody else coming behind us much easier. And
mhm,
what you're doing is important. I think people forget that. But she, whether she's myth, whether she's an amalgamation, it's very hard to pinpoint. But her contemporaries, everyone I found linked with her, like Lawrence de Graaf, one of the richest pirates that ever sailed, Anne Devere, another pirate woman who ends up doing, becomes owns a tavern and then marries Lawrence de Graaf, Michel Le Basque. All of these pirates, they are very well documented. They are in league with her in some form or fashion. So oftentimes I had to use their narratives, their documentation in order to pinpoint where she is. It's very clear that the friendships existed. And to me, that's when the gaps are missing, you've got to start playing with the plausibilities. Where would she plausibly be being born here, dying here? This is the course. These are the mentions in other people's narratives where she was. This is how we find her. So it's a lot of triangulation, as I know, Jane, you
mhm.
obviously know
Oh
from
yeah.
your books. But I think it's a very fair account of this woman's life.
Fascinating. You sent me a couple. I love it when authors send me questions because and a couple of them are so great. I wanted to include them in here. So this is also about Jacquotte. Um, she lives between identities, gender, race, class. How did you approach writing a character who is constantly navigating who she is versus who she must be or must appear to be to survive?
It was not easy, I'll say that
No.
much. And I will say there are a lot of sensitivity reads went into the making of this book, and every input really helped build a narrative. It's, I always start with humanity. Where is she human? Where is she vulnerable? How does one gain strength? Because, sometimes on these journeys, there is the gifted one, the one with the power, the so deemed one. And one of the things I loved about her is she was a screw up. She was a mess up. And I didn't want to sugarcoat those pieces. I wanted you to see who she was and how she developed so that everybody could understand. You don't have to be the magical one. You don't have to be the gifted one. You just have to have a passion to do something. And that
Hmm.
was her. So it's, I sometimes I draw on my own background of trying to figure out my space in whether it was writing or engineering, you know, um, uh, you know, sometimes male dominate, engineering is very male focused, male dominated.
Hmm.
Writing upon occasion can feel very male dominated, male focused. So it's like trying to find your niche. That was Jacqueline. She wants to figure out in this world. She has these crazy ideas and these dreams, and she wants what she wants. And it was beautiful to write a woman who was unapologetic
Mm.
about what she wanted.
And I mean, and just thinking about you, this was the 1600s. Like we're talking about not 2026. This was a very, very different time. There's another question that I loved that you sent me. There's a powerful thread of women's leadership and collective survival in the novel. It's about found family. How intentional were you about building a crew dynamic rather than having like this lone hero in Jacquot?
Once again, I'm not really a big fan of the chosen one.
Mm,
I want everybody to realize everybody's chosen. And just some of the research of the dynamics of these pirate ships. I mean, regardless, we see perhaps Pirates of the Caribbean in our view. The research shows between 20 to 30% of the pirates in the Caribbean were Black. They were of the islands. people weren't asking your race. They often didn't even ask your sexuality. They were like, "Can you rig the sails?
Mm.
Can you swing on the side of the boat and scrape barnacles off so that they don't eat through the hull and we sink?" And the most important question is, if you're behind me and you have a sword, are you going to attack the enemy, or do I have something to worry about?
Right, right.
So for women, I find we are a neighborhood. We are a village. We care about the ones that are around us and the least of us, and we all want to move together. And to me, in a world that's male dominated, in a world where women are only allowed to be a wife or a wench, how does this woman become a pirate captain where people are willing to die for her leadership? They're willing to
Hmm.
follow her into battle. And so you had to show this dynamic. And so it's sometimes there's a little bit of found family, sometimes it's admiration of survival. These ships may be away from technically whatever they called home for years,
Mm.
sailing to wherever they move. They become their own ecosystem and they have to rely upon each other. And so I wanted that dynamic because to me that's what the research spoke to, and that inner nature of women. We are a collective being. Yeah,
Hmm.
Jane, you're familiar with the hero's journey. There's a woman's the heroine's journey,
Hmm.
and it's very centered on this approach of collective leadership. How do I heal or help the whole body as opposed to just me and me figuring out what I need to do in this world? How does this enable? And I see her as that woman trying to lead the entire ship.
I love that sentiment because I've been thinking a lot about structure because I'm writing again. And yeah, no, that's I love that about like the heroine's journey. I'm gonna have to write that down for my current project.
Absolutely.
I want to talk about the broader research as well because you have I should mention your author's notes in the front and the back, and you've got a great bibliography. I love author's notes and bibliographies and nerding out about that. So, you describe that the 1600s were literal chaos. And also, you mentioned that, and you just mentioned it in the answer to the prior question. Pirates were not all swashbuckling white guys. So talk about your research process and some of your research and if anything kind of changed the trajectory of the story.
Yeah. So as like I told you, that moment where we all lifted our phones and Googled was very important. But Google's your first kind of your run. Let's figure out not necessarily the facts because now there's so many bots, so much AI creation and slop out there.
Hmm.
But let's see what people are talking about. So it's very important to see what narratives already existed about this woman. What were they saying? How was she mentioned? And that's when I started finding all of these other people who are very well documented as
Hmm.
being in league with her. So that started to form the world. There were research papers that they're documenting the characteristics of these boats. And at one point, I also read a lot of pirate letters. I was like, how do you guys have time to write letters and pillage? To
Yeah, right.
me, but they're writing these letters, and I see a captain's log, and it's a manifest of what's in the hull of his ship, and it's like 16 guineas, pewter vase, 17 guineas, silver bowl, and I was like, what kind of vase that you gonna pay more for in silver? I'm like, what is this? But it's just one of these things you kind of file away. And
Hmm.
and then I was reading Pirate Avery Henry, one of the most successful pirates, his letter where he's explaining why he feels bad about stealing that English ship to be his pirate ship. But he keeps going on and he talks about Guinea, and he's talking about Guinea as the whole of Africa.
Mm.
And when I had originally read that manifest, I was thinking of guineas as in the British unit coin. It was coined in 1610. My story is set in like 1670s. You know, the question of would it have translated that far? Possibly. Um, but everything during this time frame, Spain is the big behemoth on this side of the
Mhm.
world. All the money is done in Spanish. Those are reals. Those are pieces of eight. And then I went back to that manifest. That's what that captain had been selling. He sold 17 people for that bowl. He sold 23 for that urn. And in this world where you could have a completely integrated top of the boat, top of the deck with men, women in secret, Africans, Caribbeans, everybody's on this boat with the Dutch and the French. And under the bottom, you could still be dealing in chattel slavery.
Yeah.
That dynamic and what that means and how they lived, I wanted it to translate into the novel as like a moment in time. This is this moment in time where you have pseudo equality, but your
Mm.
bowels are still reeking of this non-equality, and I wanted that to transmit.
Yeah, it's chilling when the way that you just described it really is. And yeah, there's so many aspects of this story. Was there any other pieces of research that really like, kind of stood out to you that you want to highlight?
Oh, crazy things. That in this big rush to seize Tortuga, they wanted to have old pirates live there and set up a colony. Well, in order to have a colony, you need young women to marry these pirates to have families. So they literally got a writ, permission from the King of France to steal French women from
Ugh.
the streets, or if they've been minor crimes, to take them from the prison, shackle them, throw them in the bottom of a boat. Sound familiar?
Mm,
And take them months and months away to Tortuga and give them the option of working in the brothels or marrying or being sold to a pirate to marry.
some option, right? Like,
I
oh,
know,
yeah.
but I think if you've been in the hull of a boat shackled, you probably will make the whatever decision you and we shouldn't
Mm,
fault these women at all. This is horrific.
horrific.
And the tantamount that anybody could be enslaved
Mm,
was another message I wanted to bring about because you have French women here who
hmm
are being enslaved. There are points where they go to Vera, different different bodies have or governments have sanctioned going to Veracruz and getting the Afro Mexicans. And enslaving them, and the terms of enslavement are different across every island, but it's still the underpinning of all actions. This thing of enslavement.
An
Uh,
economy, all that, part of the economy.
It's part of
Yeah,
the economy.
yeah.
Warehouses are set up right on shore so that
Ugh.
pirates can take their stolen goods and transfer into the universal currency, which is enslavement. That's the underpinning. So I wanted to show the realism. There
hmm
are some swashbuckling kind of moments, and the battles. Every battle is modeled after a real life pirate engagement because I wanted you to see that the blood, the sweat, the tears, the intensity,
hmm
and it's all as you asked earlier. This is all part of my research because I want you to feel like you're there, but
Right. Yes. Yeah.
safely there on the deck, watching and
Like
observing.
cinematically, right? Watching it like
You're
a movie.
watching. Yes,
Yeah.
yes.
Yeah. On that note, I love to talk process, and this is just like so dense in terms of research, and it's a sweeping novel. What is your plot process like? Do you write by the seat of your pants? Do you plot things out? Yeah. Do you do research first or research as you go? What's your process like?
Okay, so I'm gonna say the answer is all of the above. I am firmly a
Okay.
planster because I you can't tell this story and because especially when you are finding somebody's life and you're displaying it, you have to be fair to that person. You have to be honest. So I have to
hmm
know everything earthly possible about this person before I even pick up my pen to start thinking about writing about it. And I've got these pinpoints of these are the factions in their lives. And as an author, you have a choice where you start that book, and you have a choice where you end that book. And because I find so many people um, have get really tense when they think about history, and they feel the pain, but they miss the joy, so they want to
hmm
ignore it altogether. So where I end is always a high particular moment, something changing because I want you to leave this book saying, wow, I want to know more about this history.
On an up note,
On an
right?
up
Yeah.
note, on an up
Yeah.
note. I am not a pain porny girl, as we
Mhm.
call it, where just you're going to see all this suffering, and then at the last minute you're going to see, woo, they win. No,
Right, right.
I want to take you on a journey that you may want to repeat. So I'm very conscious of that. So that's why the plot, I'm a plot, I'm a stake post that happened here, and I'm a stickler stake post. I'm not going to put you someplace that's not plausibly doesn't show me that I've found something that says you could have been in this place or you were actually in this place. So I've got signposts and fence posts. And then I do a lot of character, what kind of woman would willingly defy her father during the 1600s, dress up as a man, and then want to fight and battle and to be so good at it. What kind of thing? So, I've got to put pieces in to me. I have to put pieces in that story to make the story make sense
Mm-hmm.
because she's not chosen; she
Mm-hmm.
chose herself to do these things. And so I've got that. And then, but I do, once I have this structure in place and I know where I want to start the story, and I know the scenes, I start writing the scenes, but that's where I'm pantsing. I know the scene goal, but I don't know how that dialogue's going to come across. I kind of think I know, but sometimes it will change once it's on the paper. And then you kind of step back and you look at this overall arching arc and like, okay, that arc is not working, but this arc is really strong. Let's go back and bolster that. So I'm a layer writer. So I will go back and do layer and layer and layer until we get to that optimized state of this is the story I want to tell.
Excellent. And to that note, does your engineering background influence the way? Because you're talking about it almost like product management, right? Like you add the features to the product. So, like,
Jane, winner, 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 winner. Yes, it's a method I'm calling storycraft, where I'm very much, when I had my very first book, I got this horrible, horrible rejection. Like one of those, like, you never want to pick up a pen ever. And,
I've been
it
there.
made me say, wait a minute. How is my engineering brain? First of all, we don't accept defeat because, that's just something engineers don't do. But how do you iteratively look at this? So that novel, I literally rewrote to 125 times.
Wow.
And each time was, let's work on dialogue, this version. Let's work on setting, this version. Let's work on character motivations. Literally, boop, 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 and iteratively. So even
Hmm.
now, I'm an iterator girl. Let's get this bare bone structure in place first. And, even though I do research in the beginning to know about this woman and whatnot, I will leave holes in this foregoing because I'm not going to stop the writing momentum. I just put triple X's in the manuscript and say, okay, that's something I got to go back and
I do that
fix
too. Yeah. Yeah.
because you will get there's never enough.
Mm-mm.
You will keep going and you will dig your hole and whatnot. But yeah, I'm very structured. I'm very centered on characters' motivation, making everything make sense. I'm a talisman writer, so if I ever spend moments explaining something, it's gonna come back.
Right, right.
Kind of thing. But to me, that's just I like the little gifts for the reader that's paying attention.
Hmm.
Like, oh, that's what
Totally.
she was doing. I get it, I get it. And I want that story once again. The story has to make sense because a lot of history doesn't make sense
Hmm.
on a surface level, but when you look at things deeper, you get that. But yeah, I'm a layer. So the first draft, no one will ever see a Vanessa Riley first draft.
But that's what you have to remind yourself, right? Like you're
Yes.
like, no one's gonna see it. I just gotta get it down,
You
right?
got to say
And
it's
then,
trash.
yeah,
Just admit it. It is trash. There's going to
yep.
be you got to accept there's holes in that first version. But
Hmm.
the moment you get to writing the end of that fast draft, and you step back, then you say, okay, that's now you can see the story. Because sometimes you don't actually know that story. You've
Right.
got great influence. And so that's why I can't say I'm a full blown plotter because a plot person would tap, 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 and have all the formulations done out. No, I give room for how the characters show up when I'm
Hmm.
designing. See, I know the scenes I want, but let's give room to see what happens when these two different sets of chemistry you've been building kind of merge. That you
Mm-hmm.
just never know what you're going to be created. But to me, it's a layer approach. And I think if you break a project, which is engineering, break the project down into bits, you get to your ending much faster. You're much happier with the project, and you're not wasting words, because if
Mm-hmm.
you know you're writing fast, then I'm not going to be paying that much and that first pass, not paying attention to what color the carpets are and all these sorts of things, all these things that may hang you up later when you decide, it really needed to be brown because brown reflected the mood.
Right, right. Yeah, that's just like the dressing, right? The frosting on
Exactly.
it. Yeah, yeah,
Exactly.
yeah, yeah.
Exactly.
So what part of the writing process is the most challenging for you, and what part do you enjoy the most?
The first draft is most challenging.
Me too.
I
Mm-hmm.
mean, you've done this research and you've done this character work, so you apparently know the motivations of these individuals. You apparently know, their background. You apparently know their desires, their greatest fear. You apparent. Now I say apparently because once again, once you get in there and the dialogue starts happening, you realize they may have secrets they didn't tell you. You may
Mm-hmm.
realize that all these different things, but you got to get to end.
Mm-hmm.
You will be
Mm-hmm.
distracted. You will go off on these tangent. Get to end, and
Yes.
then give yourself time to step back and look at what you've done and say, oh, you know what? I need X, Y, and Z, or this
Mm-hmm.
isn't working. My first draft is about a third of my word count.
Oh, really? Oh,
Yeah.
that's really interesting.
Yeah,
Okay.
it is very stripped down because I don't want to spend time building a world that scene may not even evolve. That scene may
Mm-hmm.
get cut.
Interesting. Yeah.
And so a third of the word count, it saves your sanity. You
Yes.
don't try and justify, because like, you will justify keeping a scene in there because you worked so hard on it.
Mm-hmm. Yep. So much research went into that. Yep.
Yeah.
Yeah. So you just get the bones down,
Get the
basically.
bones,
Yeah.
dirty, dirty
Yeah.
bones. And when I have, in one of the things I realized when I was writing to close to like within 10% of word count, I always overwrite.
Yeah. Yeah. That's
I'd
right.
always, every
Hmm.
single time. And then your brain is like, they're all important. We can't cut
Yeah.
the scene because of, no, you can cut the scene.
That's
You can cut
right.
the
It
scene.
hurts, but you
It
can.
hurts. It
Yeah.
hurts. It
Yeah.
hurts.
Yeah. Um, you've been doing this a while, highly successful. What's the best writing advice you've ever received?
Two best writing advices, because I can't break them down. So Beverly Jenkins once, well, actually, Beverly Jenkins has told me a lot of things. I was crying about something one day, and she's like, "Baby, just put it in the author's note. Put it in the author's note,
Hmm.
and that will solve all your problems. It will stop the naysayers from questioning your ethics or questioning your facts, because you showed them, here's my proof. Here's all the bibliographies, and you want to translate that French and German, you go right ahead."
Right.
Kind of thing. So that, and and her overarching is that there is a place for your stories. The world will tell you differently. Now, some are easier to sell than others, and some are not for the audience of a traditional publisher. Some are for indie,
Hmm.
the
Hmm.
indie marketplace. But your story is needed. So to me, those are words I treasure. I put an author's note in everything, even my historical romances,
Hmm.
as well as my mysteries, because I'm throwing something in there from a case that happened, or something from that time frame dealing in research. So I'm going to put it there. And then Kristen Higgins gave me the words I live by. It always helps me make the right decision. She's like, write the most dangerous book you can.
Good one.
Every time you think you're going to pull something, or that's too cruel, that no, do it. See what happens. See what happens, because it might lead you, like, once again, it's the pantsy part of the
Hmm.
process. It may lead you into something totally different that's richer and thicker and will draw more people to the narrative.
Hmm.
Write the most dangerous narrative you possibly can.
Excellent. All excellent advice. You have the other thing about your career is like you've done historical romance, you've done mystery, you did this latest one is big canvas historical fiction. Do you have a preference in terms of genre?
No, actually.
Really?
No, they're all different, right? Now, historical fiction is the hardest to write
Mm.
because I'm typically doing biographical historical fiction, which is I'm bringing somebody's life back to us, right? I want to be
Mm-hmm.
fair and I want to be honest and I want to show the good, the bad, and the ugly.
Mm-hmm.
I've had friends saying, "Why did you put that in there?" Because it happened,
Yeah. Yeah.
and you know, you have to be honest, an honest broker. When somebody takes up a book, they're expecting this is truth. And truth is something that's very hard to win, especially in these days where everything is a lie and everything is out there to cheat us. So I'm an honest broker. If I'm going to put it in, and then if there are choices between certain routes, that's also something I'm going to put in the author's note.
Excellent. On that note, are you ready to share what you're working on now? What you're working on next? I mean, are you taking a moment to breathe? Like,
No, no, a writer's got to write, and I don't know
yeah.
about you, Jane. 2 weeks after turning in a book, I'm going stir crazy. I am
Mm-hmm.
thinking about the next one. This is a really strange year. So I have two more books coming out this year. I have A
Amazing.
Deal It Done, which is a historical romance coming out through Kensington. And then I have the fourth book in the Lady Worthing mystery series, Murder in St. James's Park, coming out in September. So I'm hawking a lot of books this year, including
It's
Fire
so
Sword.
impressive. I mean, how do you even do it? Like, it's so impressive.
I am winging it. I'm winging it, right? I don't know. But I am working. My next book is historical fiction and it's multiple generations. And it's different. It's different. It's very different. That's all I'll just say. It's multiple generations. It's very different. There may be some actual Americans in this book.
Nice.
That's always fun.
Excellent. Very exciting. And how can readers best keep in touch with you?
Sign up for my newsletter. Go to VanessaRiley.com is the mothership. So from
Hmm.
there, you can get to my podcast, you can get to my latest books, you can get my event schedules where I'm going to be. I've got more appearances in Nantucket, Columbus, here, more in Atlanta this year. So always go to VanessaRiley.com is the mothership. And like I said, you get to my podcast, you get to my books, everything is there. So VanessaRiley.com.
And you have a Substack as well, you mentioned too. Yeah. Yeah.
Yes. So
Okay.
Rite of Passage is on Substack. It's I just found out it's on all the platforms now.
Oh, nice. Oh, perfect. Yeah.
Yeah,
That's
I
great.
was shocked.
Yeah. Yeah.
My little rant fest,
Right.
And I am so grateful for every listener. It's a different venue.
Hmm.
It was born out of I write historicals, but we're living in the modern world.
Hmm.
And things are happening, and how do you digest that?
Hmm.
And so it's been an essay a week for now 2 seasons, and I'm
Amazing.
very very excited about that. I think we just crossed like 24,000 downloads, and I'm just it's different, unexpected, and my
Yeah.
commitment is one new essay a week. And
Excellent.
so I'm always going back to your early question. I'm always writing. I can't
You're
help
busy.
myself.
Yeah.
I can't help myself. Can't help myself.
Excellent. Well, this was delightful. I'm so glad we finally got the scheduling figured out. Thank you for being on.
My
That's a
pleasure.
wrap. Vanessa, it was lovely to meet you. Fire, Sword, and Sea is out now. VanessaRiley.com for everything about you and all of your wonderful books. Thank you again for being a guest. And my latest novel is Women of Arlington Hall. Please remember to subscribe to my YouTube channel or follow me wherever you listen to podcasts. Thanks again, Vanessa. Congratulations. You're an inspiration, and I love talking with you today.
Oh, thank you, Jane. This has been amazing.
Thank you.